I am somebody who is always very patriotic in general. I love our flag. I love what the American experiment is supposed to represent. Of course, we know that that's not how it has been executed, far from it. But knowing that I came very close when I was 18 to joining the military and knowing full well what I know now, I'm thankful that I didn't. And I'm going to show you why I'm grateful now that I didn't.
In the 1990s, and I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
How would somebody know this in 1995? Unless they had some idea that something was going to happen, and then 9/11 happens? Why would Israel have any knowledge of something of that magnitude?
Well, all roads lead to the plan for the greater Israel, right? This goes back to what was it? Wesley Clark? Was it General Clark was talking about?
General Clark, guys, and he was a guest on our podcast, and he said,
we had General Clark. But he had received that memo stating that these are all the states that we need to go after. And Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, they all of it, right? That was on there. So it makes sense that if all of this, and I mean all of it, is pertaining to getting a control over West Asia to the point where there can be a greater Israel, then that's why they would know. Because all of this, and they're so stupid about it too. Like when you look back in retrospect, it's like, if you were going to try to get us to go after Iraq, you could have at least used Iraqis. But no, they didn't. They used Saudis or Egyptians or whatever they were using. Like, it's so silly.
15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia.
Right. So it's all absurd. And as somebody who knew at the time, I knew at the time, and I have witnesses to this. I remember turning to a whole bunch of people. I was clerking for a federal judge, and I said, there are no weapons of mass destruction. This is a bunch of bullshit. And then the next thing you know, fast forward, and I'm reading 800 and plus pages of a Patriot Act that now takes away my 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment rights. So that was the purpose. It further created the reach of American empire, allowing it to go after citizens, go after people based on terrorism. So it's all like, it's very clear to me.
If you guys thought that clip was a good throwback, this one is even better. It is from the Secretary of Defense on September 10th, 2001.
This adversary is one of the world's last bastions of central planning, governs by dictating 5-year plans, a single capital. It attempts to impose its command across time zones, continents, oceans, and beyond. With brutal consistency, it stifles free thought and crushes new ideas. It disrupts the defense of the United States and places the lives of men and women in uniform at risk. Perhaps this adversary sounds like the former Soviet Union, but that enemy's gone. Our foes are more subtle and implacable today. You may think I'm describing one of the last decrepit dictators of the world, but their day too is almost past, and they cannot match the strength or size of this adversary. The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
Boy, that took a lot of balls to say. And this is coming from a very conservative, State Department establishment head. Rumsfeld was part of that inner circle with Cheney and Wolfowitz that basically took over the Republican Party, the neocon takeover of the Republican Party.
You're missing the key component of that. Who was the ringleader?
Cheney. Yeah, I said Cheney.
Oh, okay. I heard Wolfowitz. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Cheney, Wolfowitz, and Rumsfeld, the three amigos. And these are the three men that basically the three neocons that took over the GOP post Nixon's resignation. And so all of this was essentially coming to a head 25 years after the fact.
Not the people, but the processes. Not the civilians, but the systems. Not the men and women in uniform, but the uniformity of thought and action that we too often impose on them. In this building, despite the era of scarce resources, taxed by mounting threats, money disappears into duplicative duties, bloated bureaucracy, not because of greed, but gridlock. Innovation is stifled not by ill intent, but by institutional inertia. Just as we must transform America's military capability to meet changing threats, we must transform the way the department works and what it works on. We must build a department where each of the dedicated people here can apply their immense talents to defend America, where they have the resources, information, and freedom to perform. Our challenge is to transform not just the way we deter and defend, but the way we conduct our daily business. Let's make no mistake. The modernization of the Department of Defense is a matter of some urgency. In fact, it could be said that it's a matter of life and death, ultimately, every American's. A new idea ignored may be the next threat overlooked. A person employed in a redundant task is one who could be countering terrorism or nuclear proliferation.
But all the while, people decided, no, I got to get rich. I don't care if it sells out our country. I don't care if it puts our service members in harm's way. None of that becomes a factor. It's all about now. How do we deal with it now? That's what Rummy's talking about.
Every dollar squandered on waste is one denied to the warfighter. That's why we're here today, challenging us all to wage an all-out campaign to shift Pentagon's resources from bureaucracy to the battlefield, from tail to the tooth. We know the adversary, we know the threat, and with the same firmness of purpose that any effort against a determined adversary demands, we must get at it and stay at it. Some might ask, how in the world could the Secretary of Defense attack the Pentagon in front of its people? To them I reply, I have no desire to attack the Pentagon. I want to liberate it. We need to save it from itself. The men and women of this department, civilians and militaries, are our allies, not our enemies. They too are fed up with bureaucracy. They too live with frustrations. I hear it every day. And I'll bet a dollar to a dime that they too want to fix it. In fact, I bet they even know how to fix it. And if asked, we'll get about the task of fixing it. And I'm asking. They know the taxpayers deserve better. Every dollar we spend was entrusted to us by a taxpayer who earned it by creating something of value with sweat and skill. A cashier in Chicago, a waitress in San Francisco. An average American family works an entire year to generate $6,000 in income taxes. Here we spill many times that amount every hour.
Incredible.
We need to all stop paying our taxes together. Seriously, what if everybody just stopped the same friggin' time?
This is the one thing that I wish people would understand. There are so many more of us than there are of them, and yet people are afraid to, But this is also what happens. We get divided, and we follow people that are doxing people because they wanted it, because they didn't like Charlie Kirk, and they celebrated his passing. Okay? The people that are out there doing that, trust me, they're the enemy. They're the enemy. Just like people on the left who do the same thing. I hate freaking wokey dumbasses who think everybody needs to adhere to their doctrine. There's always going to be people like that. But if you have any doubt that they did not cover this up completely, or that they didn't do a completely protective job, Colin, where's that clip? We hope people
it takes a sec to render. It's coming.
Okay. Fair enough. It's a quick one, though, but it's effective. Hopefully it comes out okay. Did you pull that up or did Colin?
I did. Colin never had anything to do with it. He didn't even know I was making it when I made it. He's only seen it when you've seen it.
If you had any doubt that 9/11 was an inside job, and I don't think that anybody at this point would question that, considering the stage we're at with the state of Israel. Well, this apparently only aired when it actually aired, and somebody was able to grab it and post it online, and yet somehow I was able to find it on the fly.
Outside the Pentagon, CNN's military affairs correspondent Jamie McIntyre. And Jamie, you got very close to where that plane went down.
That's right, Judy. A while ago, I walked right up to next to the building. Firefighters were still trying to put out the blaze. The fire, by the way, is still burning in some parts of the Pentagon. And I took a look at the huge gaping hole that's in this sideway, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that.
And yet, they were able to find the passport of one of the terrorists on the plane. So the entire plane was destroyed to where there was nothing that was found, but there was a passport. Boy, those are indestructible, huh? Woo.
They really are. So are the driver's licenses, apparently. Again, that's not to say that two planes did not fly into the World Trade Center. They certainly did. But let's be honest.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they? Well, again, and I'm not jumping on any theory, but I have seen clips where people have shown that there's like this hologram thing. But even if you take that and you're like, okay, yeah, two planes flew in, the way those collapsed is extremely suspect. There's video of firefighters that were in the building that were saying conflicting things with what we've been told. And then building 7 is like, yeah, there's two. Those buildings collapsing how they did makes zero sense according to architectural physics and people that study that shit. So, I mean, I don't study that, but I've heard people who know what they're talking about saying that is not. And this one, there was nothing left but a passport. You can't make that shit up.
So when it happens live, you're not thinking about, all right, well, this has to be protected information. You can only control the narrative as much as possible. Yeah. And of course, at the time in 2001, CNN was the featured player in corporate media. And so somebody's out there making a statement to this effect. It wasn't a case where they were able to get all of their ducks in a row and get somebody to say what they wanted them to say. It turns out that this was just a completely fair objective from somebody who actually was there, who saw it and said, there was no plane that flew into this. This was a missile. And anytime you look at where this happened, it appears, again, the Pentagon is the largest federal building in the world. However, it is believed that the part of the building, again, I only go based on what I hear. It could be something different, but what I am told is that the part of the Pentagon that was hit with this missile was specifically the area where the bookkeeping was done for the unaccounted money that was ending up all over the world via foreign policy. And then it went into the stratosphere and became our war economy that I think they had always intended for it to grow into. We had never been attacked on our soil. And I think in their mind, they decided, well, it'll be a hell of a lot easier to sell it if it comes to our front lines, rather than saying the Gulf of Tonkin or the USS Liberty. It's a completely different situation when you see the two towers collapse, demolition or not. The heroic plane that was Flight 93 and the passengers that took it down in order to avoid hitting the Capitol. Or this. Sure looks to me like they did something that should not have been done. $2.3 trillion in unaccounted money. Where do you think that ends up?
Lining pockets of contractors and their friends. That's what I think. And that's what they use to get the politicians to get the money back in. It's a whole circle jerk that we're not invited to.
I hate to break it to everybody, but unfortunately, our esteemed guest for the evening is having technical difficulties. It would appear that Mr. Attorney is not going to be able to join us this evening, but we still have a number of other stories to cover. We are waiting on word to see if he is able to make it. So, yes, I do not want to talk about the USS Liberty until our esteemed guest joins us. But
correct.
No question that the connections are very real. And I don't want anyone. We're going to get to Loomer in a minute, but I know that Jen is not too crazy about content creators lending their thoughts. But I thought that this clip of Tucker Carlson with Piers Morgan was absolutely spot on. If there was anyone that can kind of crystallize everything, Tucker did it right.
No, of course I didn't allege that, the Jews did it. I don't even know what that means. I think, in fact, saying things like that is a way to discredit real questions.
Right.
Like, Benjamin Netanyahu on camera right after said this is a good thing because it brings the United States into a conflict that we've been involved in on an existential level for decades.
What it means is they had been trying forever to do it. Now I am convinced, as you probably are, Jen, that the bombing of the World Trade Center in 1993 was also a Mossad activity that did not go according to plan.
What I know is that what I have learned over the past very much so few years is that everything that we have been told was true, really, it's just not. It's just not true. And so why would that one be true? Why would that be true? So if we're basically, and all of it goes towards this perception of Middle Eastern terrorists, the Arab terrorists, all of it. So why would that one be true? But then that's why I think it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's a house of cards. It's all coming down, people. It is all coming down.
And that's why they're so afraid of Tucker. Because he has fuck you money, as Jen likes to say. Just like Miss Rachel. When you fuck with somebody with fuck you money, not a smart move. Because and again, Tucker is CIA. Everyone probably has a realistic idea that he is. But not everybody who's in the CIA is against the United States. Keep that in mind.
Said that out loud. I'm not guessing, you can pull the tape. We know that a group of Israeli art students, who clearly were not art students, clearly some of them were aligned with Israeli intelligence, were arrested and held for quite some time in the United States before being released without charges. And we know that a group of them, again, I'm quoting an FBI document here, not the internet, filmed the attacks on 9/11, and I'm quoting, seemed to have foreknowledge of those attacks.
We have covered the dancing Israelis before. So if you guys want to go into our archives, for those of you that are new, definitely check that one out. Tucker knocking it out of the park so far.
Now, you were not allowed to follow up on any of this. Fox News did a series with Brit Hume and Carl Cameron, which many people have seen in a bootleg version on the internet, but they did it like within weeks, saying, what is this? There was an Israeli spy ring in the United States, and they clearly knew 9/11 was coming. This is Fox News. They pulled that under pressure. They pulled that off the internet. It's not searchable in any Fox News archive, but they aired it. I know the people who did it. Of course, I worked with them for years. They're real people. They're not crazy. In fact, they're pro-Israel, but they had a fact set before them, and they reported it, which is called journalism. And subsequent generations have been forbidden from noting what is now factually true. Those are factually true statements. Now, we tried to interview some of those people. One lives in the United States, in California, and made no headway whatsoever. And we knew as we did it, by the way, that we're going to be attacked as anti-Semites or something.
He's right.
Tucker needs security.
Especially now. Tucker, if you do not have detail, just like
I'm sure he does.
Mamdani,
I'm sure Tucker is protected.